This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon, Rabbi Say Parshas V'aschana on Shabbos Nachamu. We're going to begin by saying over something from the great Makubal, the Makubal Alaiki, Rav Nasa Nata Shapira, the Megala Amukais. Rav Nasa Nata Shapira, the Megala Amukais. You go to his caver. It says on the caver he had Giloy Eliyahu Panim al Panim, and unbelievably, his yard site is Yud Gimel Menachem Av this Shabbos, and unbelievably, the Megala Amukos wrote a sefer, 252 explanations on the first pasuk in Parshas V'aschana. 252 perushim on the first pasuk in Parshas V'aschana, and the name of the reason why 252 is Begematria Rav Lach. Hashem told Moshe, enough already, Rav Lach. Okay, so the Megala Amukos said enough. I'll keep it only at 252 explanations. Okay, Rav Nasa Nata Shapiro. He has 252 explanations, and Zachar Isa Yish Latayv Reb David Cooperman. He gave me the copy of the Sefer Megala Amukos that he published, because Megala Amukos lived in Krakow from his hometown. Okay, so Megala Amukos says in his 20th Perush on the pasuk of V'aschana that we know what he's trying to explain is why did Moshe Rabbeinu daven to be able to go into Eretz Yisrael, and why did Hashem reject his prayer? Says the Megala Amukos. He says like this. Second line. Darash Rava. Mai d'chsiv la yesharim nava sihila. To the upright, praise is fitting. Al tikri nava ela naveh. Don't read it nun aleph vav hey, but rather nun vav hey. Ilu Moshe v'David. Elu Moshe v'David. This refers to Moshe and David. Shalai sholtu soneim b'masiyadem. Whatever Moshe and David made was never destroyed. Moshe made the Mishkan was never destroyed. Whatever David built was never destroyed. Says the Megala Amukos. Benimtza comes out. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael and build the Beis Hamikdash. That's what he said. Haaretz hatov hazeh v'halavanayin. What's Levanayin? The Beis Hamikdash. Ein Levanayin ela Beis Hamikdash shenemar v'halavana. Right? Haaretz hatov hazeh v'halavanayin. Ilu nichnas Moshe Eretz Yisrael v'nivna Hamikdash al yadai. Lai hayu yecholen hasaynim lishloi b'masei yadav. The Goyim would never have been able to destroy it. So you say, that's wonderful. That's great. If Moshe Rabbeinu would have built the Beis Hamikdash, that's wonderful. But that's a problem. Because then, then Hashem would have had to pour forth His wrath on the Klal Yisrael, and not on the sticks and stones. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael in order to build the Beis Hamikdash. Look on the third line on the next paragraph. Rav Lach. You know why you can't go in? Because Rav Lach, you're too great to build the Beis Hamikdash. Rav Lach, you're too great. You're so great that if you build it, it will never be able to be destroyed. Then I'll have to vent my wrath against the Jewish people and add against the Beis Hamikdash. Darga dilachi gavaya ma'id. The enemies won't be able to destroy what you built. And when the Jews sin, they'll be destroyed. Therefore, it's impossible that for you to cross the Yarden and the Jews will be destroyed. And therefore, Moshe said, and Hashem said, sorry, Rav Lach, you're too great to build the Beis Hamikdash. That is what the Megala Amukos says, whose yard site is coming up in Mirz Hashem, Yud Gimel Menachem Av, Shabbos Kodesh.
That's where all the single people go.
No, they don't go to the Megala Amukos. Yeah, they go to Amukos. They ain't going to the Megala Amukos. Megala Amukos is not Krakow. Okay, Rabbi said this brings us into a very interesting topic. This brings us to a very interesting topic, and that is Rabbi said. This brings us to a very important topic, and that is the third Beis Hamikdash that is destined to be built. La'asad Lavai, who is going to build it? Who's going to build it? Says the Rashi. Says Rashi. Rashi says in Masechta Sukkah. Vehihi, and that is that. Vehi kasha. If you're going to ask, the belayla eno nifne. The Gemara says the Beis Hamikdash could be built at night, but we have a principle: the Beis Hamikdash will not be built at night. The Kaimalon b'Shvuas the Ein Binyan Beis Hamikdash belayla. T'chsev uvayim hakim. It says on the day it will be built. And v'loy b'chamei sarshu yamtiv. And it can't be built on the 15th, which is Yom Tov, the Kaimalon b'Shvuas the Ein Binyan Beis Hamikdash Yom Tov. So what's the Gemara saying that the Beis Hamikdash can be built at night? The Beis Hamikdash can be built on Yom Tov. The Beis Hamikdash can't be built at night. The Beis Hamikdash can't be built on Yom Tov. Says Rashi, Hani mili binyan habanoi b'dei adam. That is only a building that would be built by flesh and blood. Aval mikdash ha'asid. But the third Beis Hamikdash, sha'anu mitzapin, that we're hoping for, banoi u'mishuchlal. It is ready, built and completed. Hu yigla, it will be revealed. V'yavai mishamayim, and it will descend from heaven. Shenemar, mikdash, Hashem, kainenu, yadecha. The mikdash of Hashem, your hands made. Says Rashi, the third Beis Hamikdash is not going to be built by people. If it would be built by people, you couldn't build it on Yom Tov. You couldn't build it at night. Rather, it will be revealed and it will come down min hashamayim. This is something we've mentioned in passing. We've never discussed this. Tosfos says the same thing as Rashi. Tosfos says the same thing as Rashi. Says Tosfos, Ela al karchach tzarach loyer l'chalek kamay shapirish b'kuntus. You have to say, like Rashi says, Dahani mili binyan habani b'dei adam. Only a binyan of flesh and blood will be built, cannot be built on Shabbos, Yom Tov, or night. Aval mikdash ha'asad, banoi u'meshuchlal, yigla v'yavei min hashamayim shenemar, mikdash Hashem kainenu yadecha. The mikdash that your hands, Hashem, that you built. So Rashi and Tosfos are both saying, who will build the Beis Hamikdash? Not me, not you. God will descend min hashamayim. However, the problem is that even though Rashi and Tosfos bring down, and this they indoctrinated you in kindergarten, that the third Beis Hamikdash is going to come down from heaven in fire. Beautiful. And every time you do a mitzvah, right, you build another brick, right? We know the whole thing. That's not what the Rambam says. The Rambam says, HaMelech HaMashiach, King Mashiach Asid Lamoid, he will eventually stand. Ulahachser Malchus Beis David Lishana, and restore the Davidic dynasty. Lishana HaMemshala Rishanu Ubayna Mikdash, and he will build the Beis HaMikdash. And he will gather in the Jewish people. So the Rambam says the third Beis HaMikdash is not coming down in Hashamayim. The Rambam says the third Beis HaMikdash is going to be built by none other than Mashiach Tzidkenu. So you say, fine, it's Machlokes Rishonim. It's not the first, and it won't be the last. Right? Rashi and Tosfos says it comes in Hashamayim, and the Rambam says no, that the Beis Hamikdash will be built by Mashiach. The problem is the Gemara says this. The Gemara Masechta Sukkah, 11 blot later, Beis on Beis, says, "Vayareni Hashem arba charashim." God showed me the 4 carpenters. Man and who are they? Arba charashim. Who are the 4 carpenters? Amar Rav Chana bar Bizna, Amar Rav Shimon Chasida. The 4 carpenters are Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef, Eliyahu, v'Kohen Tzedek. Says Rashi, why does Mashiach need to know how to be a carpenter? What's he going to build? Says Rashi, Charashim Umnim, craftsmen, Mashiachim Shneim Charashim, both Mashiach, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef will both be craftsmen, Lebinyan Beis HaMikdash. So it's one thing you want to say Rashi argues with the Rambam, but the one person Rashi can't argue with is Rashi. Rashi can't argue with Rashi. Rashi, Masechta Sukkah on Daf Mem Aleph says that the third Beis Hamikdash is going to come down in Hashamayim. And what? And we're going to stand there in awe. V'hareinu b'binyanai. That's what we say in davening. God will show us the building. Show me the building. V'hareinu b'binyanai. And Rashi in Masechta Sukkah 11 blot later, and Beis on Beis says, who's going to build the second Beis Hamikdash? The third Beis Hamikdash? Mashiach. With his own hands. He's going to be a craftsman.
Why is that necessarily a contradiction? Why can't we say that Rashi, when he says that Mashiach and David, Mashiach and Yosef, Eliyahu and Kohen Tzedek are going to actually build the Beis Hamikdash, they can build it in Shemayim. But it will come down as a prefab, so to speak. Lahavdil.
So 1 second. How are they getting up there?
They're there already.
Mashiach is there? No, we don't believe. We don't believe that.
The neshama is there.
No.
No.
We believe Mashiach is someone who's alive. Once you're dead, you can't be Mashiach anymore. Right? So let's move on very quickly.
770.
Rabbi Say.
770.
No. Please. So Rabbi Say, what are we saying now? We're saying, so you say, well, Mashiach built it. Rashi says explicitly Mashiach won't build it. Rashi says, Mikdash Hashem kainenu yadecha. Hashem's going to build it. So Rashi says explicitly not like that. So in the past, we've said one answer to this question. We mentioned in passing the answer of the Aruch LaNer. What does the Aruch LaNer say? The Aruch LaNer has the following question. He says, Rashi tells us, and Tosfos says, that Mashiach is, that the binyan ha'asid is going to come down min hashamayim. Af shegam ha'Tosfos v'haritva eskimu lazel, ani ezdaiti doichek. Even though Tosfos and the Ritva agree to Rashi, and Tosfos says, the Aruch LaNer, I don't accept what Rashi is saying, that the third Beis Hamikdash is going to come down from Shamayim. The Gemara always says Mehera Yibana HaMikdash. It shouldn't say Mehera Yibana HaMikdash. It should say Mehera Yigala Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash is built already. All we needed to do is we needed to be revealed. Also, the Gemara says the Ivni implies it will be built, not it will come down. Or the Gemara later that we quoted, it says there will be 4 Charashim. Charashim are craftsmen, architects. What do you need an architect? What do you need an artisan for if they're going to come down Mishraim? Also, the last mission in Tamid, and what we say at the end of davening, what are we asking God to build the Beis Hamikdash? It's built already. We should say, Sheyigala Beis Hamikdash. It should be revealed to us. Says the Aruch LaNer, when Mashiach comes, we will build the Beis Hamikdash with our own hands, no question about it. Like the Rambam says, Melech HaMashiach is Boinei Mikdash. So the Rambam says, it says Mikdash Hashem Kanu Yodecha, which the Medrash Tanchuma darshans it's going to come down in Hashamayim. Says the Aruch LaNer, there are 2 Batei Mikdashim. There's the Beis Hamikdash Shalmata and the Beis Hamikdash Shalmala. Who's going to build the Beis Hamikdash Shalmala? God. Who's going to build the Beis Hamikdash Shalmata? Mashiach. So what do you need a Beis Hamikdash Shalmala for? Say, what? If you had a guf, if you had a body, and the body was lifeless without a soul, so the body would collapse. It couldn't exist. You need a soul to fill the body. For the body to have vitality, the soul has to fill the body. Says Aruch LaNer, it's the same thing with the Beis Hamikdash. If the Beis Hamikdash Shalmata does not have the Beis Hamikdash Shalmala, the Beis Hamikdash has no vitality. So therefore, when Mashiach comes, David HaMelech, Mashiach Tzidkenu will build it. That's what the Rambam says. That's what the Gemara in Sukkah Nun Beis says. That's how we daven Sheyibane Beis Hamikdash Me'eri Yameinu. At which point, Min HaShamayim, the Beis Hamikdash Shalmala will descend in the Beis Hamikdash Shel Mata and fill it like the neshama fills the guf. And therefore, if you want to know, can you build the physical Beis Hamikdash on Shabbos? No. Could you build it on Yom Tif? No. Could you build it at night? No. But once it's built, Hashem could come down whenever He so chooses. That is the answer to the Aruch LaNer.
Isn't when it's one built, isn't the Shechina there Tamid?
No.
It's always in the Beis Hamikdash, no? So that's the problem. The Shechina left and the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed.
The Shechina, but
the Shechina is
there's a Shechina and there's a Beis Hamikdash
constantly.
Well, there's some Shechina, but the Gemara says that even in times of the second Beis Hamikdash, there was no Shechina. There's no Shechina.
During the functioning Beis Hamikdash?
During the functioning Beis Hamikdash, the Gemara says it was one of the 5 things that wasn't present.
That's right.
So now, Rabbi Say says the Aruch LaNer, the same way that you had to make a physical fire on the Mizbeach, but the Eish Shel Mala would descend into the physical fire and give it vitality. It's the same thing with the Beis Hamikdash. We will build the physical Beis Hamikdash, and it will be filled with the Beis Hamikdash Shel Mala. Okay, that's one answer to the question.
Who's Kohen Tzedek?
This is the Aruch HaNer. This is the Aruch HaNer.
No, who's Kohen Tzedek?
Who's the Kohen Tzedek?
Or a craftsman?
The Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol.
Is
Now there's another answer to the question.
and Yosef alive together at the same time? I thought
Was he or will he be?
One will die in the war with
Okay.
the other.
Fine, but they could both, according to the Rambam, according to the Gemara, Mashiach ben Yosef will be one of the Charashim. There's another very interesting answer from the Maril Diskin, Rabbi Shor Diskin. And he says like this, we say in the davening, for the Shalosh V'Galim, we say, V'hareinu b'vinyanai, v'samcheinu b'sikun. What are these two Lashonos? V'hareinu b'vinyanai, He'll show us the building, v'samchenu, He will gladden us, v'sikunai, with it being established. Says Rabbi Shor Diskin. There's a pasuk in Eicha, Tavu v'aretz shareha, right? The gates sunk into the ground. What is that talking about? In other words, the gates of the Beis Hamikdash sunk into the ground, so that Asalavai will pull out the gates and use the gates of the Bayis Sheni for the Bayis Hashlishi. He says, what do we need the gates for? I thought the Beis Hamikdash is coming down in Hashamayim. You don't need, recyclables for the third Beis Hamikdash. Hashem is going to send it down in Hashamayim. Says Maril Diskin, like this. The Beis Hamikdash is going to come down in Hashamayim. And you know what we're going to say? You know what our reaction is going to be? Come on! We wanted to build it. There's a mitzvah in the Torah of Asuli Mikdash v'Shachanti b'Saycham. Hashem, why are you sending down the Beis Hamikdash min Hashamayim? We want to build the Beis Hamikdash. So Hashem is going to say, don't worry, because if someone has a house with no gates, it's as if it's not built yet. So I'll let you put up the gates, and the Gemara says in Baba Basra, whoever puts up the gates is like the one who built the house. Says Rabbi Shor Diskin. The Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi is going to descend min Hashamayim fully built, like Rashi and Sukkah, like Tosfos and Sukkah. What do we need the gates? And you could add, what does the Rambam mean that Mashiach will build it? What does the Gemara in Sukkah mean that Mashiach has to be an architect? All they are going to do is put up the gate. And when you put up the gate, you are credited with the whole building. That is the pshat in the davening. God, you'll show us the building, but we won't be happy yet. We won't be happy until we won't be happy. When we put up the gates, then we'll be happy. Because until we are able to be amel and put an amelus into the building, Rabbi say, there is no simcha.
Are we going to build a kelim, or are they going to come already with the Beis Hamikdash?
No information given. So we have two answers so far. Aruch HaNer says we are going to build a physical edifice, and the neshama is going to come down with Shemayim. Rabbi Shor Diskin says Hashem is going to build a physical edifice. The only thing we're going to do is
the gates.
Put up the gates. There's a third answer given. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says like this. Look in Daf Tzadiches. Amar Rabbi Alexandri, Rabbi Shua ben Levi Rami. Rabbi Shua ben Levi asked the contradiction. Ksiv v'ita, it says about Mashiach that it will come at its time. Ksiv achi shena, and it says I will hasten it. So the question is, will Mashiach come at its time, or will the Rebbeinu Shalom hasten Mashiach? Says the Gemara, Zachu achi shena. If we're Zaycha, Hashem will hasten it. Lai Zachu, but if we're not Zochet be'ita, we have to wait till it's right time. The Gemara says further, Amar Rabbi Alexandri, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi Rami. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi asks another contradiction. Ksiv, it says, Va'aru, and behold, I'm anone shemaya kvar inish, someone coming as if on a cloud in heaven. By the way, anyone know where it says that? Sefer Daniel. Uksiv, and it says elsewhere, Ani v'roichav al chamar, that he's going to be riding on a donkey, right? Big steer. One pasuk says he's riding a fully loaded Lexus, and one pasuk says he's riding a 1988 Ford Taurus Stira, right? One pasuk says he's riding the heavens, and another pasuk says he's riding a donkey. what's the vehicle? Says the Gemara, it depends. Zachu with Klal Yisrael Zoche Manon Ishmael. It will be miraculous. It will be wonderful. Lo Zachu Ani Roichav Al Chamar. He'll be a poor man on a donkey. So what do we see from here? There are two possibilities for Geula. There's a possibility of a supernatural, miraculous Geula, and there's a possibility for a natural, slow, unfolding Geula. Says Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi in the Sefer Yer HaKodesh Hamikdash, he says, one thing we're guaranteed. We're guaranteed Mashiach will come, and the Kabbalah Nidchei Yisrael to Shalayim B'Hashav Yisrael and Bayam. However, exactly when and what and how, we don't know exactly. All we know is there are two people who knew when it would come. Who were they? Daniel and Yaakov, and it was hidden. But we also know that there are two times Mashiach could come. Number one, today. Number two, at its appointed time. What do we have to do to get it to come today? Do we have to do tshuva? What do we have to do to get it to come at its appointed time? We just have to hope we're around when that comes. Right?
When is the time?
That we don't know. We don't know. Now, the miraculous way that Mashiach could come is when the Psukim talk about Va'aru Manane Shemaya, how Mashiach will come with the clouds, how it will be hastened, Achishena. But the unfolding natural process of Mashiach coming, that is very much discussed in the Zohar HaKadosh, he says. The Zohar says, and it's also Yerushalmi, take a look in the next paragraph. He says, the Navi Malachi says, you should know, right? Shweki. So the Shweki sings the Navi Malachi. Pisoim Yavai Ha'adayim Asher Atem Mevakshin. Hashem could come suddenly. That's talking about if we're Zaycha, if we do tshuva. But if we're not Zaycha, the pasuk says in Yeshaya, Telukutu le'echad echem nesa. One Jew will move from this country, and another Jew will move from that country. Fine. Like the Yerushalmi says, that the coming of Mashiach will be like the Or Shachar. Right? It's not all of a sudden it's pitch black, and all of a sudden, bam, it's light outside. Slowly, the sun rises, you don't even see the orb of the sun. Slowly, the light increases. It will come ma'at ma'at. Yerushalmi in Brachos, Parak Aleph Halacha Beis. Okay, we're not making this up over here. Reb Chia said, "Kishem sha'ar hashachar ba me'at v'hoylech misraba kachi gulasan shal Yisrael kima betchila v'chol mashi hoylechas hiraba v'hoylechas." And that's what the Zohar says. Listen to the Zohar. Yaakov Avinu says, "Shalcheni ki Allah hashachar bezimna de kutshabricho yakim loim." When Hashem will begin to bring the gula, yiftach lan pischa denara. First, Hashem will open one gate of light. That gate will be open just a crack, just a smidge, just a tiny bit. And then he'll open another door, and another door. In other words, Mashiach, the Zohar says, and it's a medrash in Shiurim, will be mitzaft sefes, kima.
What's mitzaft?
It will like bubble, it will sprout forth, little by little. Says Rabbi Chil Tukachinsky, in Shas, whenever we find that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai made a takana Yom Hanev Kula Yasar, that the whole day of the 16th of Nisan, it used to be they would bring the Omer in the morning and then you could eat the Chadash. But he was Goizer Yom Hanev Kula Yasar. Why? Mehera Yibana Beis Hamikdash. Because maybe the Beis Hamikdash will be built quickly. Apparently, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was concerned that maybe we will be Zoicha and Mashiach could come suddenly. And that's why he said, you never know. Meher Yibana Beis Hamikdash. The Bavli is full of the possibility of Mashiach coming suddenly. Like Rashi and Tosfos say, that Mashiach could come down and the Beis Hamikdash will come in Hashamayim. The Yerushalmi that says that it will be Mevatz Betzes Va'oila, it will come as a natural process. Yerushalmi is telling us the other possibility, that Mashiach will come through the natural process. Says Rabbi Chil Tukachinsky, it's not a machloikis in the Rishonim whether the Beis Hamikdash will come down in Hashamayim or whether we'll build the Beis Hamikdash. It's not a machloikis. There are two possibilities. If we're Zoicha, that Mashiach will come suddenly, and it will come not riding the 4 Torahs, it will be riding the Lexus, and it will come hasten, it will be Achishena, then Mashiach will come down, and the Beis Hamikdash will come down in Hashamayim. But the possibility that we have to build the Beis Hamikdash is the other possibility, that Mashiach will unfold naturally, slowly. You're not going to see anything open, but when it almost will unfold as the years pass along. That possibility is that we will build the Beis Hamikdash.
So that explains Rashi's contradiction with himself?
Yeah.
But, you would think, I understand what you're saying, that Rashi would address that, saying that these are why it's two possibilities. He doesn't mention that at all.
Because
one place he says just flat out.
Because Rashi on Daf Mem Aleph and Sukkah is going on the words of the Gemara. We're worried maybe Mehero Yibana Beis Hamikdash, Mashiach will come suddenly. That's already explained in Sanhedrin. That possibility is only Imzachu. But Rashi later on is explaining the Gemara that Mashiach will be an architect. That's going according to the possibility that things will unfold naturally. Interesting. And then he says, we know there's a machlokes between Rebbe Lezer and Rabbi Yeshua and Sanhedrin Tzadi Zayin. Rebbe Lezer says Mashiach cannot come without tshuva. And Rabbi Yeshua says, no, Mashiach will just come, whether we deserve it or not. Says,
so he doesn't hold that we have to be zachu?
Says Rabbi Chimel, it's not a machlokes. They're just discussing the two possibilities. The possibility of Zachu, the possibility that Mashiach will be supernatural and come down on a cloud from Shamayim and come suddenly. That you need to do tshuva to be Zaycha for. That's not just going to come. But the possibility of Mashiach just unfolding in the natural process, that, he says, is what Rabbi Yeshua is explaining, that it will just come whether we're Zacha or not Zacha.
So when we hold that the Mashiach will come in the natural process.
Yes.
Doesn't the process have to be initiated through doing tshuva?
Possibly not. That's what Rabbi Yeshua is saying. Rabbi Yeshua is of the opinion.
Who's going to determine when Mashiach comes? HaKadosh Baruch Hu,
Hashem,
right?
yes.
But what do we have to do to convince HaKadosh Baruch Hu?
Nothing. According to Rabbi, if it's Achishena, that you have to be Zacha for. But if it's not Achishena, if it's just going to unfold naturally and just come when the deadline is, we don't have to be Zaycha. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua. So he's saying it's not a machlokes, it's just expressing two different... So far, Rabbi said we had three answers to the question.
But if it unfolds naturally, even if we do tshuva, it's not going to help.
If we do tshuva, it won't unfold naturally, it will come supernaturally.
It'll come quicker.
Right. So Rabbi so far we've offered three answers. Our Chaner says, we build the Beis Hamikdash, God sends down the soul of the Beis Hamikdash. The second answer is answer of Shulei Biskin. God will send down the Beis Hamikdash and build it, and we will merely put up the gates. The third answer of Rabbi Chil Michal Tikachinsky is, we will build the Beis Hamikdash if we're not Zaycha, and things unfold naturally, and Mashiach will be Ani V'Reicha V'Achamar, and Mashiach will be Be'ita. But if things unfold unnaturally, supernaturally, and it's hastened, and it's Va'aru Imanani Shemaya, then the Beis Hamikdash will descend from heaven. There's another answer to this question. There's another answer to this question, and that is offered by the Tfaras Yisrael in the beginning of Masechta Midos. Tfaras Yisrael. Rabbi Yisrael looks at the Tfaras Yisrael, when we were learning Midos, we skipped this. We didn't mention it, we were saving it. The Tfaras Yisrael asks the question that Masechta Midos, which talks about the dimensions and the architectural plans of the third Beis Hamikdash and the second Beis Hamikdash, begins with those who guard the Beis Hamikdash and where they guard it. And the Tfaras Yisrael wants to know, why does Masechta Midos begin with the people who guard the Beis Hamikdash? After all, that's not what it's about. It's about the architectural design of the Beis Hamikdash. He says like this: the purpose of Masechta Midos, the Rambam says, is so that when Mashiach comes, we'll be able to know how to build it. That's why we'll be able to know how to build it. We're not going to build the Beis Hamikdash. I thought the Gemara says, I thought Rashi and Tosfos and Sukkah, Daf Mem Aleph, say that the Beis Hamikdash is going to come down in Hashamayim.
We build the gates.
Yeah, but the dimensions in Masechta Midos, it doesn't say too much about the gates. It's all about the rest of the building. And the Rambam says, you know why you should learn Midos? To know what to do when Mashiach comes. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is take out your cameras. Right? Once, the Bali Musar, I think one of my rabbis once told me that he heard from Chaim Zaitchik. He wrote Nitzotzes HaMosar. What's the first thing people are going to do when Mashiach comes? They're going to take out their camera, right? He was making fun of the fact that people go somewhere, they have lost the ability to take in with their own eyes and mind what's happening. They have to take a picture of it. They're not even looking. Right? First, take a picture. First, take a look for yourself. No, behold what's happening. Anyway.
My mother, Allah Shalom, wanted to be buried only in Har HaZeitim. Mama, she said, I heard this with my own ears, time and again, because she wants to be the first one to see Mashiach and to say, Kum, Esa Besol, take your time. Right, I have something to eat, and then that's what she used to do.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, she should be zoicha to it. So, as it's first of all, the Rambam saying on the one hand you should learn Masechta Midas to know how to build the Beis Hamikdash, but Rashi and Tosfos say it's going to come down in Hashamayim. The first thing he says is like this. Obviously, the Rambam holds that this whole business of Rashi and Tosfos that it's going to come down in Hashamayim. It's only in Divrei Haggadah. You don't learn out from Divrei Haggadah. We don't know what Divrei Haggadah means. We have to do what we have to do. We have to learn Masechta Midas to know how to build it. Rashi and Tosfos says it's going to come down Shamayim. That's just an Agadata. We're not going to deal with Agadata. That's what the first thing that Tfaras Yisrael says. But he says even without that, it's not a question. He says like this. B'chlal, Rashi wants to know, but the Beis Hamikdash won't be built at night, and the Beis Hamikdash won't be built on Yom Tif? That's not a kasha. When Mashiach comes and God tells us to build it, if He tells us to build it at night, we'll listen to Him. And if He tells us to build it on Yom Tif, we'll listen to Him. You can't do it? Yeah, when Hashem tells you to do it, you do it. So the whole question of Rashi that forces Rashi to cite this medrash is not necessary. That's what Tfaras Yisrael says. And he says, B'chlal. This is the Tfaras Yisrael in the beginning of Masechta Midas. He doesn't hold of Rashi's kasha. You know why? Rashi wants to know you can't build a Beis Hamikdash at night. So what's the problem? You get the goyta to do it for you. You get the goy. You get the goyim to do it. He says. There's a drasha that we can't let goyim build the Beis Hamikdash. That's if they use their own money. But if we give them the money, there's no isser in letting the goyim build the Beis Hamikdash. But we learned in Masechta Midas that goyim are now allowed to go into the chel, and according to many Rishonim, there's an isser d'oraisa. No, there's an isser d'oraisa in going to other places, but going into the chel is only an isser d'rabbanan, which would be suspended under these conditions.
Unions in Israel.
But we have a strong tradition. And he said even Shlomo HaMelech had goyim build the second Beis Hamikdash.
Hero.
Second?
The first, thank you. And the second Beis Hamikdash was B'chlal built by Koresh, right? We have a tradition that's going to come down in Hashamayim. We can't just machavek with the Messiah. He says like this. Really? Maybe it will come down in Hashamayim. So why do you have to learn Masechta Midas? So that you see that Hashem is being faithful to the design that He gave us in Masechta Midas. Because to see, he says, Miu Gam Rashi, even according to Rashi, it's going to come down in Hashamayim. We still need to learn Masechta Midas. Why? So that when we remember that the Navi gave us these architectural designs 2,000 years ago, but we have not been Zaycha until 2,000 years later, we will be ashamed that it took us so long to build the Beis Hamikdash. And since the purpose of Masechta Midas, he says, is to preserve, to be shomer for when the Beis Hamikdash comes, so Masechta Midas begins with the shomerim of the Mikdash. Fine. So Rabbi say, we've given 4 answers so far. Who's going to build the third Beis Hamikdash? Chaner says, we build the physical edifice. God will send down the neshama. Rabbi Shulei Diskin says, Hashem will build the physical edifice, we'll build the gates. Rabbi Yechiel Michal Tikachinsky says, there are 2 possibilities. If we're Zaycha, we'll come supernaturally and come down in Hashem. If we're not Zaycha, we'll unfold naturally. Tfaras Yisrael says, we're going to build it. The Messiah is coming down in Shamayim, that's an Agadata we don't know how to deal with. That's the 4th answer. The 5th answer is maybe it will come down with Shemayim. Why do we need to be architects? Because we have to make sure Hashem did a good job. right?
Checking up on Hashem.
Let's add a sixth.
Quality assurance for HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Quality control.
Yeah.
Policy how it's going to build it. Just said when it. Like that's what key will when.
No, he's saying there are two possibilities.
But he didn't say who's going to build it.
You'll read the piece. He implies very strongly that the two possibilities allow for two different ways of it being built. A sixth answer is from the introduction of the Taisus Yantiv to Masechta Midas, and that is there's another steer on the Rambam. One, the Rambam in the Yad HaChazaka says that based on what are we going to build the third Beis Hamikdash, based on the Navi Yecheskel that right now we have no understanding of. But the Rambam in his introduction to the parish Hamishnaya says the third Beis Hamikdash is going to be built based on the architectural designs of Masechta Midas. So what is it? Is it Sefer Yecheskel or is it Masechta Midas? Says the Tosfos Yomtiv. If you don't know Masechta Midas, then when Mashiach comes, you'll have no understanding of Sefer Yecheskel. God will only explain to you the details of Yecheskel if you have a background in other words, it's like somebody, he's coming to a nuclear physics. We said, did you learn 9th grade biology? If you didn't learn 9th grade biology, then get lost. So Hashem's going to say when Mashiach comes, if you learn Masechta Midas, I'll explain to you how to build the third base mesh. If you don't learn Masechta Midas, don't bother coming to this year. So we've given 6 answers. So according to that, you need to be an architect in order for Hashem to explain to you, Baruch HaKodesh, how to do it. So bottom line is,
anything. You're just checking out that Hashem was faithful.
No. So it could be like this: you're going to build it, according to this, but you're going to need Ruach HaKodesh and heavenly assistance to know how to do it.
So it's not coming down from Shemayim.
Coming down from Shemayim means the way you're going to do it is going to come down from Shemayim. The ability.
We'll get it this.
Let's add a 7th reason. You ready? A 7th answer.
Couldn't there be another
One second. Who built the Mishkan?
Tzala.
Who put up the Mishkan?
Moshe.
Did he do it on his own?
Yes.
No, he couldn't put up the crushim. They were too heavy. He started and Hashem helped him. Says Rabbi Yehuda, that's another possibility. We're going to build it, but we're not going to be able to do it without the assistance of Hashem coming down from Shemayim. So you'll ask, now that we learned 7 possible explanations for what the third Beis Hamikdash is going to be like, we learned from the Archaner and Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin and Rabbi Chil Michal Tikachinsky and the Tfaris Yisrael and 2 reasons. And another answer of the Taisus Yomtiv and Rabbi. So what's it going to be like?
We don't know.
Says the Rambam in Hilchos Malachim, V'cholelu advarim, these type of things, v'chiyotz ben, Lo yada adam heich yiyu ad sheyiyu. Nobody knows what it's going to be like, really, until they come. Shedvarav stumim heimetz anavim. Even by the Nevi'im, it was very fuzzy. Gam hachachomim elam kabbalah b'dvarim elu. No one has an absolute tradition. Elu lefi hechra psuchim. It's only, you have a contradiction, and you try to reconcile it, so you have different ways. And that's why you have many machloikesim. Says the Rambam. Don't make your career out of trying to figure out the way things will be. Don't get too involved in this. Don't spend too much time, right? So I think we've capped out, okay? Don't spend too much time. Why? Knowing exactly the way things are going to be is not going to bring you to greater love of Hashem. It's not going to bring you to greater yira. All you need to know is Ani Mamin be'emunah shalema bevias hamashiach v'af al pi sheyismameim kol zeh achakaloi b'chol yom sheyavai Rabbi Sagun Shabbat.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.